branches of banks where Hezbollah had all their cash, mostly in the Dahian neighborhood of southern Beirut. Speaking of money, Hezbollah terrorists captured by the IDF in Lebanon have admitted to their interrogators that they are paying bribes to UNIFIL employees to allow them to use their bases for military purposes, making them a legitimate target for the IDF. The United Nations is strongly denying this charge, but it's difficult to imagine that they've had time to even start investigating to see if it's true or not. An important strategic asset of Hezbollah is being hit hard as well, and that's their cash. On Sunday evening, while the banks were closed and no employees or customers were inside them, the IDF began to act against the economic institutions of the organization. In the following hours, the IDF intended to strike dozens of buildings and structures that serve as headquarters for the organization's financial system. According to reports in Arab media portals, the IDF has already attacked at least 13 of these financial institutions in the Dahia district in Beirut, and there are also warnings of attacks on economic institutions deep in the north of Lebanon as well. Israeli officials told the Wall Street Journal that the aim of the attack is to damage Hezbollah's ability to function during the war as well as afterwards, to rebuild and arm the organization the day after. A word of explanation is in order here. Hezbollah pays salaries of hundreds of dollars every month to each of its operatives, but these salaries are only part of the basket of benefits that these terrorists receive.
Suffering from severe foot pain? Don't even think.
Benefits include financial support to the family of the terrorists, food assistance, medical assistance, funding for educational needs, and much more. In this way, Hezbollah creates incentives for the gunmen to stay loyal to the organization and builds up its own support network in the broader Lebanese society. According to the testimony of some Hezbollah fighters who have been captured in Lebanon, a large percentage of these terrorists are only in it for the benefits. They are not motivated by religious reasons, as the previous generations of Hezbollah who fought Israel in the Second Lebanon War in 2006 were. This is why, over the years, through careful surveillance and intelligence work, Israel has mapped out all of these financial support networks, including the sources of income, the location of bank branches, distribution points, and more. Now, using this map, Israel is systematically cutting off the money supply to all of these networks of patronage and support. At the same time, many of Lebanon's most wealthy citizens have fled the country, and they took a lot of their money with them. So, if Hezbollah wanted to try and extort these wealthy people, that source of revenue is also lost to them. Although this campaign to cut off Hezbollah's money supply has just begun, it is already showing good results. A recent report in the Voice of America news portal, Hezbollah is facing financial collapse, with its three main sources of funding drying up. According to the report, Hezbollah's money is organized through three main sources. The first and main source is El-Qard El-Hassan, a kind of bank owned by Hezbollah, which is actually an Iranian association that functions without proper government licensing and grants interest-free loans to the organization's members. Another source of funding is recognized and authorized banks in Lebanon that Hezbollah uses to launder money it makes from narcotics trafficking all over Africa, Europe, and Latin America. And finally, there are large amounts of cash that come to Hezbollah directly from Iran. A source quoted in the report said, "I hear from Lebanese bankers, including Hezbollah appointees, that the wealthy stratum in Lebanon, the one who can afford to flee, left the country's borders and fled to Europe. Also, the Iranians are afraid to send money to Lebanon because Israel is threatening to attack targets that enter Beirut's airspace. The Israelis warned that they would attack planes that transfer money and not just weapons." Now, let's take a closer look at the El-Qard El-Hassan Bank, which the IDF began vigorously targeting overnight on Sunday and into Monday morning. This bank has 31 branches in different areas in Lebanon. According to Hezbollah, this is an association that has opponents in different parts of Lebanon, partly because over the years it has gradually replaced the Lebanese banking system. This harms a lot of vested interests as well as the public sector and other institutions. Other factions in Lebanon also saw this association as a key pillar in Hezbollah's state within a state, which allows them to operate outside the boundaries of traditional society and politics. It is through their control of this association and the vast reserves of cash and gold that it controls that, according to Hezbollah, has become the strongest and richest employer in Lebanon.
I just want to know.
Despite of the crippling economic recession that Lebanon has been in for almost 5 years now. Therefore, the IDF has decided to physically destroy the buildings where Hezbollah keeps all its cash and gold reserves, which are just as strategically important to Hezbollah as the rockets and missiles. This campaign against Hezbollah's money will continue alongside the campaign against the rockets and missiles, as well as the fighters who pose a threat to Israel's border communities.